Hey, I'm Jenna Haddock. I'm 26 years old. I am an occupational therapist by degree and a performing artist, circus arts, aerial arts by passion.
So I'm curious about, when did you start? Because I know, like, my friend Lydia was doing some aerial fabrics at classes, stuff like that. Is that how that started for you, or
Yeah.
when did that started again?
I knew I was coming back to Kansas City. I was graduating. I was going to be doing my clinical work here in Kansas City. And I knew that there was something inside me. I still wanted to perform. And at that point in my life, I was just taking adult dance classes in Columbia, Missouri. And I knew I was coming back, and I didn't know where that outlet would be. Being over 20 years old, where do you go? The market starts to get kind of limiting. So I stumbled upon a master's dance class at Quixotic and I called him up and I go, hey, I'm kind of old, but I have this experience. Do you think I could take this class? And so they invited me. I took the class. I fell in love with the contemporary aesthetic. One of my biggest inspirations is Megan Stockman. I give her so much gratitude for how she's inspired me and where we've come together. And then in that same facility, they had aerial fabrics and a trapeze hanging. And my first aerial class was actually a trapeze class.
What did you do beforehand? You were just doing dance?
I grew up as a gymnast.
Okay.
I competed up to level 9 out of 10. That's how that works. Bars, beam, floor, and vault. Very serious growing up. And then when I was 13 years old, I was taken out because of health issues. So I did everything in high school you could think of, played all the varsity sports, got on the dance team, did show choir, learned like the ins and outs of theater to an extent. And then I tried out for the University of Missouri Golden Girls and then made the dance team for MU. So that happened. Regardless, people had the same reaction. They're like, really? Because since then, I have grown just as a person, and I learned a lot through that experience. And I held on to what I loved, got through with my degree, and then here I am.
So you just kind of knew you wanted to be a performer, basically.
Yeah. I knew I wanted to perform somehow. I feel like that's kind of who I am. In a way, it's like an identity.
When you were going through your training for school to do physical therapy, right?
Occupational.
Occupational therapy. So when you started doing that full time, how did you sort of fit in?
I worked full time. I graduated and I thought, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to work now. So I picked up a job at NKC Hospital, same hospital I was born. I thought it was a good fit. I worked there for a full year. Then I told them that I wanted to I went down to part-time.
Right. Yeah,
so they've really worked with me in this transition. They've supported me. They've seen me grow as a therapist. They've seen me grow as an artist.
That's awesome.
So it's amazing to have a company, to be so supportive,
right,
and have that like financial security.
Did you have a turning point where it was just like, oh, I'm doing my job full time and then I do this thing that's on the side, and was there a point, like a specific moment in time that you can remember where you're just like, I want to do that, like this is the thing I actually want to do?
There was, but I can't pinpoint it. It's kind of an everyday decision. Are you sure this is what you want to do? Right now it's, are you sure this is what you want to do? So every time I decline working at the hospital, I think to myself, are you sure this is what you want to do?
Right.
So it's kind of still in that transition. And I think it will always be.
That's kind of cool though.
Yeah.
I mean, you get to make a decision every day to do what you're really passionate about. So that's awesome.
I mean, to be able to take dance classes, to take aerial classes is a privilege. No, it means a lot to me, And I use the word privilege. It's a privilege to be up in the air. I work with people with disabilities. I've seen the lows of life, and so that's why at this point it's just a privilege to be practicing every day.
So you kind of have a lot of gratitude for what your body's able to do because of the work that you've done.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm always excited for the next growth, or I have no idea at this point. You know, it's like I could YouTube tricks, or I can go to a workshop and I can learn a new trick, but it's not so much about like just learning new tricks. It's like creating the act and how it's all going to fit together, and how is the audience going to respond to what you just did. And I'm really more about like the feeling behind it. Like, what do you feel when I just gave you my heart?
You just mentioned earlier talking about getting into the theater side of performing like in this way. What was that like? Like, did you do any specific training for that?
Right now, it's even more so with circus specifically. It's all about acting. You know, who are you? Who are you trying to portray? What is your character showing up there? We all can do splits, but how does your character do a split? No formal training in theater. It's more about playing and just allowing yourself to play and letting go of whoever you are and becoming, like playing into this other character.
So I have this interest in the concept of flow, which is just if you're doing anything you're passionate about, if you can lose the sense of time and just be entirely focused, which is a thing that I think a lot of people are chasing, but it's a thing that it sounds like you totally have.
That happened in Montreal. It's Victor's studio. All I knew is my private began at a certain time. I had a warm-up beforehand. It's a facility, and there's a swinging trapeze, and then there's apparatuses all around, and then the best of the best come. There's no windows, there's no clocks anywhere, so I would just go. Anyway, finally my private would happen, and Rachel Walker's, who I trained with, she would keep me up on the apparatus for like hour plus at a time. And then by the time I got done, I was so exhausted, but I would still be there and be present. And then before you know it, like I was looking, like I finally was like, what time is it? Really the only thing that kept me on any type of time was I needed to eat. And that's something that I struggle with on a daily basis. And kind of a little bit more personal note, like that's why I was taking out gymnastics as well. I just don't, my hunger is like something different. It's not for food. It's for, so if I'm really into what I'm doing, I completely forget about it.
How do you balance that like on a day-to-day basis?
Well,
like doing something that you're so passionate about and then balancing it with
life?
Yeah, exactly.
Life. Make macaroni and cheese and everything. That's a thing I'm figuring out. As an occupational therapist, I've sat down and I've wrote down and color coordinated my calendars and what am I doing and how much time am I spending doing training versus teaching versus working at the hospital versus being with my friends and family. And I noticed 2 months ago that being with friends and family happened maybe once every 2 months or 2 weeks. You know, like it was so few and far between. And that's why my last relationship failed, and why my current relationship is a growing experience.
So when you kind of break it down, so far as what, like with physical training, with the like theater behind it, if you were just to break down what,
you need to have a certain level of skill, and that's just you'll just once you get that, you have to have the emotional side to, maybe it's more like a box, because the walls all rely on each other. To get that physical part, you have to have this emotional drive that is constantly always there.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you have those skills, you still have to have the emotional wall, I guess, to always decide where the next thing is, and like dealing with life, and then
Right.
what your art is, I guess. So I guess it's like a box. Let's say it's a box. Psychosocial. Oh, I could get really into body stuff. You have to have a really strong neurological system to deal with knowing that it's going to hurt today.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a little bit of both, physical and emotional. Like, I'm on day 3 of training, and this is after me traveling, so I am not my best, and I know that, and I know it's gonna hurt, and I know it's not gonna feel good, but I know that once I do it, that'll be my positive reward. I'm still every day deciding I'm gonna be a trapeze artist.
Right.